Inbox zero isn't about having no emails. It's about processing your inbox so that nothing lingers without action.
Welcome to the Growth Beyond Hustle podcast.
Today, we are talking about something that can completely transform your business.
Welcome to the Growth Beyond Hustle podcast. Today, we're diving into Inbox Zero, how to manage your emails without letting them manage you. I'm Kristian Livolsi, your host, and I'm here with my co-host, Adrian Lee. Welcome, Adrian. Great to have you here. Now, are you tired of being buried in emails? In this episode of Growth Beyond Hustle, we share powerful strategies to master your inbox, including automation, delegation, and prioritization. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to reclaim your time, reduce your stress, and focus on what truly matters. Say goodbye to email overwhelm today. So Adrian, dude, how are you, man?
Dude, I'm very well as usual. I'm pumped. Actually, I'm double pumped for email. Email is my jam. I love email. I love receiving thousands of emails every week and managing them. So let's dive in, brother.
And it's so funny. You do love emails, and it's why we love to flip this around whenever we know who's the boss in this space. Look, Adrian, let's talk about something that almost every coach and consultant struggles with, and that is email overload. Why do
Yep.
you think email has become such a time sinking sucker for so many people?
Bro, it never stops. Emails are coming in 24/7, dude. And we often feel obligated to respond instantly, right? So without proper systems, email can easily dominate your day, pulling you away from the high value work.
Absolutely. It's so true. But what do you think the real cost of letting emails take over your day, right? So what do you think that real cost is? And I guess how does it impact productivity as well as focus?
Mm. Dude, it's freaking massive. So constantly checking your email, it disrupts your deep work, right? It increases stress, makes you reactive instead of proactive, right? And so the average person spends hours a day on email. Now imagine what you could do by even reclaiming half the time. Huge.
It is massive. So the term inbox zero gets thrown around a lot, right? But what does it actually really mean? And dude, seriously, like let's not bullshit our audience. We never do. Is it achievable?
Dude, totally. And when I first heard this term, inbox zero, I thought it was like, how do I get to an inbox of zero? It means I've just like literally just got to go and delete all the emails, right? Or at least, categorize them and put them in another folder or whatever. But, inbox zero isn't about having no emails. It's about processing your inbox so that nothing lingers without action, right? So it's about clarity, knowing where everything is either, handled, scheduled, or filed so your email doesn't control you.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Mm.
So inbox zero is progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And it's really about clarity, right? Like, that's kind of awesome, man. So what about managing the emails effectively? Uh so how do we get there, right? What strategies can help our listeners manage their emails without letting them take over?
All right, dude, we could like go on a very long time about this. There's so many ways you can really do it. One, and I think I'm going to share with you a few ways, but one of them is having an actual system, right? So you know exactly when emails are coming in, how you should deal with them, right? And I'll won't go in too deep into this, but I had a template called the gold standard of email, right? Which is how to manage my email inbox because I delegated a lot of my stuff to a virtual assistant, right? But you want to set email boundaries, number one, right? So check your emails at specific times instead of constantly going throughout the day,
But
right?
if
So
you've
for
got a VA, right? Sorry to interrupt you. If you've got a VA, you should teach the VA to do the same thing,
right.
so that they're not constantly getting distracted by
Mm.
going into your inbox, 15, 20 times a day, right? So I think that's a really good principle. So sorry, thought I'd
Yeah.
interrupt you.
So, like, for example, if you, after you've done your most important task for the day, you might set it as mid-morning as one time. And then you might set it in the afternoon before end of day, right? Maybe like 4 o'clock or something. But, one or two times a day is totally okay. Depending, like if a lot of your clients are replying in email, then, you're going to be in the inbox a lot. Hopefully you're not doing that, by the way. But the second thing is using the 2 minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes to respond or handle it, do it immediately, right? If you can easily do it, then just do it because you're looking at it. And create filters, right? Automate sorting by using filters for like newsletters or client emails and just priority items, right? That's probably a good way to be able to move those into inbox zero. And here's the thing, unsubscribe ruthlessly. Right? I know Google prompts you, so Gmail prompts you now, like if you haven't opened any marketing emails or emails for a long time from people, then you can unsubscribe because a lot of, especially coaches and consultants, they subscribe to a lot of other coaches and consultants' emails because they want to see how they're, sending emails and what they're writing and whatnot. So, but if you're not opening them, just unsubscribe ruthlessly. All right. Now, my favorite is once you have a gold standard, so a template, a system in place, then you can delegate it, right? Because you don't need to be, if a lot of these things aren't super priority and they're not making you money, then delegate it, right? So with my gold standard system that I had in the early days, when we had a these automated emails going out, we used to get replies. So I could predictably say that, when a new subscriber come into the email database and I had these engagement type of emails, people would reply to them, right? And then based on the reply, right, we knew how to follow up. So that my VA could then go and send them a reply email because they knew exactly what they were replying to and
Perfect.
what they needed to respond with, right? So that was a good way to be able to manage routine emails, inquiries, and anything else that comes into the inbox, right? But you want to really be able to leverage some technology as well, right? So, the basics of technology, you've got Google Docs, you put email templates in there, you can have like, you know, canned responses in your Google Doc, and you can always update it. That's why I like Google Docs to be able to use that. There's other scheduling apps that can help you save some time as well. But they're the basics. And archive aggressively. If it's not actionable, archive it and get it out of your inbox. Get it away from your eyeballs, right, where you can't see it and get distracted. And batch your responses too. Like set blocks of time for email instead of checking it throughout the day. And I said that earlier, but essentially have those times and just be ruthless with it. Give yourself, 20 minutes or however long it is. Because remember, if you give yourself 20 or 30 minutes, you'll use the time. So give yourself the minimum amount of time and then have your team, do the rest. If that's how you want to go for it. But the
That's
idea is
yeah.
progress over perfection and just get started and you'll soon figure out what works for you.
Dude, I think what I got out of that is if you're a one man show and you're just starting out, then really you got to set yourself some boundaries.
Yeah.
You got to create some filters. You got to be ruthless with your unsubscribing. You've got to archive consistently and continuously. And I think there's some really cool areas there around batching your responses. But if you are someone who's already well established, you're doing over 20, 30 grand a month, then there's absolutely no reason you should be managing your own inbox. And that's where you're talking about delegating it to a virtual assistant who uses a templatized format to then be able to be you essentially, an extension of you. And wow, that could save you, an hour a day. That's 5 hours a week. And if you're billing out, say $500 an hour, then that's $2,500 that you could be doing deals as opposed to paying someone even for 20 hours. You'll be paying someone a VA what $1,500 max. So
Hmm.
you do the math, like what you save in a week, you can have someone doing for you for the whole month. And that's massive. And I think a lot of people don't see the benefits of that. Really great. That was great. So, Adrian, what are the common pitfalls that people need to avoid then? So, you know, they're really powerful strategies and that you mentioned and you also recapped. But what are some common mistakes that people are making when trying to manage their email better?
Yeah. Look, I think, but before I touch on this, I just want to say, like, it's not so much what you're going to save in time, it's what you're going to gain, right? It's what you're going to gain back, right? And so that is just, that sets it's like if you had another 10 hours a week, what would you do with that time? And for most people, they don't know because they're so used to just being busy and not having that time to just be quiet, right? So three, three things that I first think of is like, checking email first thing in the morning is a no-no, right? It's sex. Well, hopefully you're doing that and not something else, but it sets a reactive tone for the day. All right,
Yeah.
you're reacting again instead of actually focusing on the things that are going to move your business forward, right? Move you forward as well. Now, and leaving too many unread emails, right? It creates decision fatigue, right? Unreads, heaps of them, right?
Huge.
Yeah. Not using folders or labels. Clutter builds up and adds to the stress. Right? It's just another one of those things where you're having to think and use those brain cells. And we all know as the day goes on, it's harder to make, big decisions about stuff. So leave this
Yeah. I
stuff till later.
Yeah, I often find that telling people the pitfalls and the things to avoid actually helps cement the things that they should do at the same time. And I think that was really useful. Just one little thing that I've done, I've created a lot of folders, and it got to the point where the folders were building up with stuff. So even my EA and my VA were struggling to keep up. And so we've re-systematized that into a pretty simple system. I'm happy to share it with our listeners. So if anyone wants, our VA email calendar template that they want to try and install into their own inbox,
Hmm.
just hit us up and we can share it. DM or drop in the comments uh, VA email template, some shit like that. Just let us know. I hadn't even thought about this. I was just thinking as you raised that, and I'd love to share it. So, Adrian, can you share a real world example though of someone who
Hmm.
has successfully mastered their email and the difference that it's made for them? I mean, when you were a coach, you had a lot of clients and they were managing LinkedIn inboxes and normal inboxes and a shitload of
Hmm.
inboxes, and you're a prolific email marketer as well. That's another area that you coached people in. Have you got something that you can share with people so they can resonate with it?
Look, in the early days, the short answer is yes. And in the early days, when you have a system, you can be specific with how long things take, right? And when I first started getting started with like LinkedIn and lead generation and all that sort of stuff, I worked with a lot of people that would implement our system, and therefore it was taking them X amount of time every day, generally between 2 to 4 hours to implement the system. And that wasn't just LinkedIn, it was also email, right? And so I worked with a client who was spending 4 hours a day because I used to spend 4 hours a day on email. And so by implementing filters, time blocks, and delegating routine emails to a virtual assistant, we were able to cut that time down to 30 minutes a day,
Yeah,
right? And they
wow.
used that extra time to land 3 new clients in a month, which means they could focus on the selling. They could focus on delivering their service, the thing that they set out to do when they started a business, which is their craft, right? And
So
they
they got to
people,
spend more time on delivery
yeah,
as opposed to the admin side, and I think that's a really cool example. So what was it, Adrian? they went from doing 4 hours of their
It was
own
around 4 hours,
email
like
to
around that four
basically only
hours.
having to spend 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's amazing. Hey, let's talk about mindset. We love talking about mindset on this podcast. How can shifting your approach to how can you let me just think about this question. How can you how can shifting, that's the word. How can shifting your approach to email help you gain control over your inbox and your life?
Dude, why do you ask such great questions?
That's why it took me a few seconds to get it out.
Yeah, well, it's taken me a couple of seconds to think about it. Anyway, look,
Yeah.
stop thinking of email as urgent, right? Most things can wait. Not, and I had this saying in the many years ago when I was in the fitness space, and this was it got to do with mindset. Was 99.99999% of things in life don't matter. So focus on what does, right? And that's the secret to a great life. Because most things in life don't matter. When it really boils down to it, you know, if it's not going to matter in 5 years' time, as they say, don't waste 5 minutes on it, right? So most things can wait. Remember, email is just a tool. Doesn't have to dictate your day, right? Be intentional. Every time you open your inbox, know what you are there to accomplish. What are you trying to accomplish with it?
Huge, man. So look, this has been epic, right? I think it's been so much insightful knowledge that you've shared with people. Thank you. But before we wrap up, can you share just three, because there was just heaps of stuff in here. I'm sure that our listeners are going to be replaying this if they weren't thinking on paper. What are the three key takeaways, bro, that our listeners should apply today to take control of that email?
Uno, number one, the pointy finger. Set boundaries and check email at specific times only.
Boom.
Number one, right? Boundaries. Two, use automation and delegation to handle low priority tasks. Now, in that, I'm going to assume that you're a smart coach or consultant and you have a system, an automation that predictably brings in responses every single day because that is going to generate you sales. All right. So I want you to think about that. Three is prioritize clarity, right? Process your inbox so nothing lingers without action. That's
Amazing.
it. Three
That's huge,
simple
dude.
things.
That's three excellent takeaways.
Yeah.
So to our listeners, if email is stealing your time and energy, it's time to reclaim control. That's the objective of today. Go back and re-listen. If you love the episode, please subscribe to Growth Beyond Hustle for more actionable steps and insights. And if you need help with email management, or you are ready, you're a coach doing 10, 15, 20, 30 more and don't have a VA solution for your email and your inbox and your calendar, then look up Growth Outsourced, and we can absolutely lighten the load. Reach out, take a call with Adrian. And Adrian, until next time, champion, grow beyond hustle.
Boom. Great chatting, brother.
That's a wrap on this episode of Growth Beyond Hustle. We hope you got some real value out of today's conversation on protecting your time and energy. And remember, saying no isn't about shutting doors, it's about making space for the right opportunities. The more you set boundaries, the more you find yourself focused, productive, and in control of your business. If you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss another episode. If you're ready to free up your time, stop wearing all the hats, check out Growth Outsourced, our trained virtual assistants, and take those repetitive tasks off your plate so you can focus on what truly matters.